And we are live.
Hey, welcome everyone to Hack Shack Studios. I'm RT Bear, 35-year comic book veteran, mostly working for Marvel DC, Spider-Man, Superman, X-Men, Batman, you name it. Probably have worked on it. So, it's Wednesday already. So I want to take a moment to introduce my lovely co-host and major talent and co-writer of Black and White, Taylor Grasso.
Thanks, Art. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome. I'm working on the intro. I'm trying to make it bigger.
I like it.
Yeah, I'll add some more next time.
Oh, and I'll be here reading the chat. If you guys would like to join the conversation, I'll be reading aloud your thoughts. It's like you're here.
You don't have to. It's okay.
But that's how we do it live.
That's how we do this? So what are we going to do? We're going to draw, right? We're going to draw and create right in front of people's very eyes.
The very same.
The very same eyes? The very same people.
I mean, both.
Hey, did we tweet this out?
We did. We tweeted it and we did Facebook.
Yes.
I'm trying to get in right now, and my iPad is proving very difficult. So
trying
if you
to
guys
get
are waiting.
Into what? Facebook?
No, into the actual chat, because I usually read your chat right here, which I just got into.
You're a chat in the hat.
So hello everybody.
I can see that. I can see it now.
There we go.
It's formulating on your iPad.
It is.
We're so high tech.
We are. Remember when we started?
No. I choose not to remember all that. Man, that was crazy times. It still is. I don't know.
It wasn't even that long ago, too.
It wasn't. We would constantly be in panic mode trying to figure out how to do these things. And I guess, actually, the more you do, the better you get. I hope we're getting better.
I think we have. I think we've come a very long way since the aiming the iPad at the computer days.
Yeah, and at the very least, I'm feeling more comfortable with it. We're establishing our voice at the shack here.
But yeah, when you guys, we like to do these live streams and you get a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on at the shack.
The monkey business that is the shack?
Yes.
I thrive in monkey business. I want to get a business, what do they call those? Like a business model. And just try to see if I can get funding for my monkey business.
They're expensive.
Are they?
I think so.
I don't know.
I mean...
What do they call that? We got to get a mission statement. We got to get a mission statement first for our monkey business. And then see if we can get some investors.
Well, I don't know. I was about to say monkeys are very dangerous, but they can bring in too much realism.
Well, I think if Michael Jackson had a monkey... Do you think he had monkey people?
He probably did. Somebody was probably in charge of taking care of Bubbles.
That was his chimp, right? It was Bubbles, right?
Hey, Gateway into Comics says, I love your work, man.
Thank you, man. And I'll be doing some later once I warm up my voice. My beautiful singing voice.
It's going to be pretty sweet.
I got some sweet pages I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a preview. On what pages is this? 53 and do you have the other page over there?
53. Where is the other page?
52 and 53?
I believe so.
Yeah, it is.
So you guys could see some panels come together, and we did a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah, and we've been kind of purposefully away from YouTube because we've been trying to inventory a lot of stuff and do some heavy lifting. Because, believe it or not, you guys, we're going to try to wrap this up probably by the first week of June. Is that right? March,
yes.
April, May, June. Yes.
That's our goal for wrapping up Black and White and sending it to the printers, or?
Well, at the very least, wrapping up all the, I want to say principal photography. I've been watching too many film documentaries. But, wrapping up the basic book. I'm not sure about the coloring lettering because they're a little bit behind us, but we are going to do our damnedest. I think we're actually working in the 50s, but I kind of jump around. So we're working. Like I said, I'm working on 52, 53, 54 is done. So the last page is done. So I think the 10 pages in the middle there are the ones that I think there's only 3 pages that are still rough in like a rough layout. Everything else is pretty tight. So we're in really good shape, I believe, to get this thing done.
Man, 54 turned out so good. We can't post it anywhere because it's like, the ending of the book.
Spoiler.
But it's so cool.
Oh man, you guys, this is so awesome. Like, I think we have 2 drafts of the ending dialogue, and I'm pretty sure. Well, we're gonna work on the dialogue after we get done here, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a 3rd dialogue. We should do like alternate versions of the book. Like once everybody has them, we should show you guys how many different versions. Because it really is, they say like writing is really just rewriting. It sounds like an oversimplification, but it is, huh, Taylor?
Yeah, that's all it is. Like, you have no idea how much the story has come together. Like, we've rewritten scenes and like changed the context of scenes so many times just to improve the story. And once you change, Art always says, like, whenever we change one thing, we got to make sure to look back on everything. Because if you change one thing, it does affect the rest of the story.
Yeah, there's always ripple effects. And I do feel Jeff will compensate, Jeff, our letterer, because there are, like, changes. I think one page, there was just this one panel, right? The dialogue kept changing. I think it's on its 3rd version.
It's on its best version now.
Its best version.
It took us a while, just to, not that the first version that we settled on wasn't great. It's just that this is a very ambitious story, I feel like.
I think also just, it's not even like it's not one of those balloons that has like, oh, this is the changing point of the character, or that it's so pivotal. It really is seemingly a throwaway line, but it's amazing how even throwaway lines
matter.
Yeah, they can matter. Because one of the things that we try so hard, like the mantra is, after we watched the Justice League, we were like, we will never write a generic character like, what's the villain's name in that? Steppenwolf. Yeah, we will never write that kind of generic dialogue. It just is not going to happen. So everything we write, we pull back, because there is generic stuff that ends up happening, but then you have to go, well, what is the character? What's his motivation? Where are we going with this? Can we say more with this? And not only like say more, but say more like in far as character specific, the way the character would talk, the way the character would act, and also is this pushing the plot forward. In some way. So then we always stop ourselves from like going into this generic area. And my gosh, I could not be any prouder of this story, you guys.
Yeah, we worked hard on this villain too. Like we kind of, it was weird. We changed his motive in the first draft, and I feel like he's a very like in-depth character now.
Yeah, and I think the best part about the villain is this first volume is only going to be the tip of the iceberg with this character. So by the time the second volume, we're already writing notes down. I think Taylor's got some real specifics, like pages and things already blocked out.
It's going to be good, you guys.
Oh my gosh. And I don't think it's going to be much of a remastered. I think it's going to be all brand new stuff, because we got a taste of like the last third of this book is pretty much all new, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And hey, is that Ben?
Yeah, we just got a super chat from Ben Hennessy / the Caution Zone for $5. Thank you, Ben. And he says, "Kiss Army forever."
Yes, and hopefully, you guys, it's so hard to bring in those Kiss corners together because there's 4 of us.
The 4 corners.
The 4 corners. And it takes quite a bit of like, hey, you guys available 2 o'clock? Because there's also time zones. So we're like kind of, balancing time zones and schedules and everything. So the last couple weeks has been kind of hit and miss. But I believe, wait a minute, is Kevin not on board this weekend or this Friday?
I think, I got to double check. Kevin might not be on board.
Because he's got a heavy con schedule. If you guys don't know, Kevin Conrad is one of the 4 Kiss Corner guys. And he also has a pretty major voice in comic books, although he's semi-retired, I think, at this point. But he worked on a lot of X-Men stuff. He worked with Greg oh my gosh. Greg Capullo. I almost said Capella.
Yeah, we had footage in one of the videos of him. Was that him and Greg Capullo playing together in a band back in the day?
Yeah, they were in a backyard band together, and then he later was a Spawn guy at Image, and then his ties to Kiss is Psycho Circus comic books, which were brilliantly done.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I think he said he's got quite a con. I think between his cover band and his con schedule, I think he said he's pretty busy right now. We'll hope. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, cross your fingers and tune in Friday for Kiss Corner. We usually go on at 1?
2 o'clock. Yeah, it's between 1 and 2 Pacific Standard. So 3 hours ahead, East Coast, 2 hours.
You're going to have to hit that bell to make sure you never miss a live stream, you guys.
Yes, and you know what? I'm sorry, YouTube. You're supposed to be this great platform. I have not been getting my alerts when people are going live. I barely get them. Yeah, and I've heard people complain about them too. So yeah, if you guys could ring the bell, and what else do they need to do to stay more?
Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Liking the video really helps you guys. It helps us boost the channel a little bit. We're trying to get some more viewers, reach out to people who maybe don't know that we're here.
Yes. So always word of mouth is the best, and that's how we've pretty much built this pirate ship that we're on right now. So should we start with some stuff?
Let's get over to the Camry.
The Camry.
Ooh, look at that.
Ooh, crisp and clean, no caffeine.
Man, this is a high tension scene right here, Art.
This is high tension, and this is one of the last minute rewrites, and I'm glad we did. We went character over some action, but the action, you got to remember, this is really the first 2 acts of the story. So the third act is going to have the crazy action. So I don't know. Do I want to show 51? I don't know. I want to show the whole sequence. I don't know. I'll just. Oh, I can't. Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. Can they see this?
They can. Hey, they don't know the context of this.
I wasn't prepared.
By the way, spoiler alert from those post-its. Yes, we are going to set up a Twitch channel and possibly a D Live channel if you guys are familiar with that. Art actually already has a Twitch channel, Art Thibert, on there. If you want to subscribe early, we're going to be figuring out the dual cast system, live stream system there. So subscribe there too.
Yeah, we're branching out. We're trying to expand. Always expanding.
It's not completely set up yet. There's just an icon and a couple things, but you should get on that while it's fresh because it's going to be big.
Yes. So yeah, this is the layout for 52. Do I have a version of this before?
Oh man, it might be in the
Like a work in progress.
I don't know. I mean, we have the original actual book.
This is kind of how it started. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. It's not here. I got stuff everywhere, you guys.
James says, Art, we took screenshots and we posting them on Twitter soon. And then he said, I'm just kidding.
Thank you for not doing that. I'm so prepared. I'm not prepared.
There's a lot of pages flying from the studio lately.
That's not it. Dang darn it. Yeah, I just draw on everything, you guys. Like I'm like a sketchaholic. I just have sheets of paper everywhere. See this? You guys, this is like just crap.
And there's another one on his opposite side.
Yeah, just drawing. Ooh, shoot, that's a cool shot, actually. I'm a mess, you guys.
Sketchaholic is a really good YouTube name, by the way.
Ooh, Sketchaholic. There's some alternate layouts.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's some. Oh, there's some photo ref stuff for Yi.
By the way, the stuff you're seeing right now, a couple live streams back is what we were talking about when we said we were talking about before I started working at the studio. Art had been working on alternative versions of Black and White for years, And there's like a whole issue. They're pretty much like they're like near completion, right? They're like complete pencils.
I have like probably 10, 15 pages that are completely finished, like penciled and inked. Yeah, there's like all kinds of. Is it over here? Ooh, haha! See, things are everywhere, you guys. Like, here's some robot.
Some robot heads.
Structural stuff, trying to figure out how everything works. Yeah. Gosh, you guys, if you saw this place, you'd just go, oh my gosh, how does he find anything? So yeah, so this is kind of how it started here. So actually, this layout came together while Taylor and I were actually writing it. So this just kind of came together last minute. And so then it kind of went into this mode. So some of this is remastered stuff, and some of it is new. Some of it's still kind of layout form. Some of it's tighter. And then this version, I kind of took the Xerox like this, and then I went in and I figured out all the placement for the blacks. Because this has to be very dramatic, this scene. There used to be like Whitney's leg here, but I thought it was a little kind of too sexy and a little too voyeuristic. And this is this is supposed to have impact, like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah, opened up, I think it's like really dramatic.
I never ran this by you, Taylor, but do you like it better without the legs?
I like it without the leg. I think it's more high drama without it there.
This looks a little like a 90s
it's very spy though, I will say.
Or like a 90s like a movie poster. You know how like it's
yes.
like a bachelor party, and then you see the guys like with girl like the guys are like whoa, and there's like a girl's like leg in the foreground.
By the way, somebody photoshopped like Whitney's like combat booted armor up leg in a movie poster that says bachelor party. It'll look really ominous.
Yeah, take this panel right here. If you guys want, I'll send it to you. Work it up. So you can see that it's a little bit more like dramatic, and also this was like a worm's eye view, so the camera's right on the floor line here. So I thought it would be better if there was more perspective to kind of bring your eye in, versus like this looks a little, I don't know, voyeuristic. I don't know how to, it's not really dynamic.
James says, what's wrong with sexy and voyeuristic? There's nothing, but this is a very serious scene actually for the book, I think.
Yeah, I think it was just a tonal thing. No, you guys don't get me wrong. I have no problem with this or sexy. But yeah, it was more just the tone wasn't quite right. And so you could kind of see even how Whitney has changed a little bit. The lighting has changed too, because I put the lighting on their left side, our right, so the shadows are on this side. And so her lighting or shadows used to be on the same side. So since she's facing them, I had to reverse the lighting. So I'm just doing this so there might be some aspiring comic book artists out there. So I'm not quite as proficient as some of the other artists. So this is all kind of trial and error still.
Art, you've been doing this for 35 years. What do you mean you're not proficient?
I still feel,
how long do we have to work to become proficient?
I still feel like I'm a novice just figuring this stuff out. Yeah. So anyways, I don't know, I'm going on and on. So yeah, here's this, and then you can see that at one point we had the dialogue where Yi was kind of looking back at Chang and just like, whatever. But we kind of thought that maybe he should be more focused on Whitney and not break eye contact with her, because it's a very serious moment. So we changed that. So you can kind of see last moment like changes just for dramatics. And so this is one of the things Taylor and I have to figure out the dialogue for, because we have to figure out what frame of mind Whitney is in this moment.
Yeah, this is it's very it's kind of a, I don't know if it'd be a turning, would you say it's a kind of a turning point for her?
In this scene, yes.
There's a lot of tension going on in this scene, and we're trying to figure out how exactly someone like Whitney would deal with this.
Yeah, and so then you can kind of see how the layout changed for the last panel. And these are kind of basic ideas for where the balloons would go. I think you should always lay the pages out and be pretty clear on where the balloons should go, especially if you're doing a creator on like this. If you're working like Marvel, you usually just get a plot, so you have no idea where the word balloons are going to go. But we have the benefit of knowing since we're writing this as well. So yeah, so I'm going to be bringing this panel together. So that's what's in blue lines here. I'm going to be putting my inking skills to work. And so then this is, I don't know if they can see this. This is this panel in a rough form. And so then I'm going to be bringing that together here in inks. I'm kind of adjusting some of the pencils because some of this stuff isn't quite working. So that's what I will be doing.
Pretty cool.
How's the chat going? Is everybody comfortable? They all sitting in and they all got their popcorn?
We got Pixel Trader and he says, Art, did you see my poll about reviving a magazine like a wizard?
Pixel, we talked about this, you and I. I said what you should do is do like an online magazine like Wizard on your Indiecron or whatever you're going to set up. Yes, of course.
I think it's there's definitely an audience for something like that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is with like social media and the computer being what it is, you can actually do interviews, like taped interviews or live interviews.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can go well beyond, Wizard.
You're saying that they can be more powerful than the Wizard magazine?
Yes, be more powerful, and then we'll draw all the CG characters with some kind of wizard robe.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I hated that restriction when I think I did a couple covers for them.
Somebody draw Whitney in a wizard robe.
Yeah, I would have to draw Whitney in a wizard robe. She goes, "Get this damn thing off me."
That's exactly what I'm picturing.
I feel so silly.
She has the pointed hat.
She yells, I can never say this. What is it? Leviosa? What is it?
Leviosa.
Limgardian. Whatever the hell it is.
I have a robe that looks like a wizard robe I got for Christmas.
Of course you do. Is it a real robe?
It's like a bathrobe, but it's blue and it has like golden stars on it.
Ooh, it's very royal.
Yeah, it's the best.
You feel like a movie star every time you put it on.
I feel like a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
I'm a what? You're a walking, talking wizard.
Reading through this is, you're a wizard, Whitney.
And she'd go, the hell I am! And then she'd pop you right in the eye.
What the hell is that?
What the hell?
Yeah, Whitney's a very, we were going through some dialogue and stuff today, like finalizing some writing, and she's,
I'm sorry, you guys.
She's a little bit of a hothead. She's a little scamp.
She's a handful.
She is a handful.
I like that early before we started this venture, Taylor and I were talking. We talk about story ideas and just things we like and things like that. And so I had like a brief moment in time where I was kind of friends with the oh my gosh, Love and Rockets.
Oh, Jaime, and
Yeah.
that's Jaime Hernandez and his brother Beto.
And so I had all of the Love and Rockets books, and so as I was talking to Taylor, it seemed like she really liked the is it like the Girl in Trouble storyline?
Definitely.
And so we got to talking, and I was like, yeah, like Whitney's kind of the Girl in Trouble storyline.
And she's not like, it's, what's cool about her is I feel like a lot of people don't know how to write that type of character without making them a Mary Sue or making them somehow justified. Like, Whitney's a deeply flawed person, but she also has some really good traits about her. She's not just all one thing, which I think kind of makes her feel like a human being.
Oh, Taylor, I had a pitch, a Hollywood pitch, for Black and White. You know how you have like your like quick pitch or whatever.
Yes.
So it's almost like, what if, like she's on. We always say it. she's on a villain story arc. Like, she's on a villain path.
Yeah, she's on a villain's journey rather than a hero's.
Journey. And so that's kind of like, if you think about it, that's the pitch, right?
That's actually not bad. I'm gonna write that down.
Instead of all the external stuff that we were playing with, like, that's the hook, right? That would intrigue people.
Yeah, because I think we talked about early on, and I think you said something about, like, when it comes to characters facing redemption, they're either a bad person trying to be good or a good person trying to be bad. And I think she's had a very traumatic past, and she's kind of trying to find her place into where she's going to end up.
Yeah, and the thing is, when the story begins, she is definitely going down the dark side. She is, like, not on the path of any kind of redemption. And the cool thing about the black character is that if she had never met that guy, her life would have been compromised. Like, there is kind of this I guess there's like a wonderful life, like, you know, I think we even call him a guardian angel at some point, but we do it in a, like, not a non-serious way.
Yeah. Although it is true.
Kind of an ironic way, yeah. That she kind of, through this guy, gets to find a better way of doing things. And I always thought that was kind of the brilliance of I'm not a big Robin person. I don't really like Robin as far as Batman and Robin. I kind of like Batman alone, but I understand Robin, and I always thought that Robin is basically Bruce Wayne's redemption. Like,
yes,
he's Robin. Dick is the main redemption. Like, that character, not any of the other Robins that came after, but that one.
The first one that he really had,
is Bruce Wayne's redemption, because he directed that character in a way that he could seek out revenge, but do it in the right way without compromising him as a person.
Yes.
So he could kind of hold on, and in essence, he was Batman done better. Like, you know how you always go generational, like, you want your kids to have a better life than you did and stuff like that. So, Dick Grayson was kind of Batman's redemption, or Bruce Wayne's redemption. He was Batman done without the damage, because he was kind of he wasn't totally spared from it, but he was kind of directed and guided in a way that
Bruce didn't have.
Yeah.
And when we meet Whitney, she's like, I guess you're right, like, the best way to describe her would be like, she's a woman on the cusp of damnation.
Yeah. She's definitely the ends justify the means. She doesn't care how she gets there, as long as she gets there.
And when you read about it, you're going to want to follow her and see where she ends up.
Yes. And follow her we will, because we're writing the book.
D. Gart says, I have a wizard robe too. It's more like a poncho type thing. I'm so not a dork. James says, I saw someone using I want to see if you've ever heard of this art. I saw someone using a battery-powered eraser to wipe their blue lines off art while they were inking today.
Yeah, that's like kind of like an old school, like, they used to use those, I think, because they could lift ink too. But I believe they really jacked the paper up.
Yeah, because wouldn't that be like, if it's taking off the blue line, isn't it kind of like taking off the top layer of, like...
It would have to, because it's kind of permeated into the board. I wouldn't recommend it, and it seems like an expensive piece of machinery. So, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but I don't see any point in it.
We removed the blue line digitally, and it's pretty simple to do once we got the hang of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tutorials now on how to do it, so I would say probably just do it digitally.
Especially if you're planning on selling like the original art, I would think.
Yeah. And if you're doing comic books, I'd say like blue lines are just, they're gonna be the norm, you guys. I fought this. I fought a valiant fight on behalf of artists everywhere to not go blue line.
Yeah, I don't know if you've talked about this before.
I was one of the last to hold out at DC. I held out. I got a page rate increase, and they paid for some of my equipment because my argument was that it's to save them money. And I had my main falling out with Marvel Comics was over blue lines. So I don't know how much detail I want to go into because it's not a pleasant story. It didn't end well for me, but I did try to fight the good fight against blue line usage. And having said that, now there's still definitely pros and cons to it. I still have art dealers that try to talk me down on prices, kind of claiming that it's not, I guess it's not the original. I don't even know what their point of view is, to be honest, but I totally disagree because the thing is, I collect animation cells, and the original pencils of the animation cells you can get for pretty cheap, especially in comparison to like the classic cells that were inked, or even the ones that are digital. You know how they did the scanning, Taylor, like on like 101 Dalmatian and stuff like that. Even those are worth more money than the original drawings. So the reason being is because they are the version that everybody knows. Those are the versions that they see on screen. You know, the finished version. So I always think the blue line, even though we're working over blue lines, that this is the version that's going to see print.
Yes.
No one will ever see those pencils. So if you have any fond memories about the work, it will always be based on the inks because most people never see the pencils. And so whenever I have these conversations with people, I always say, listen, let's just not frame this up as an either or. You can buy the inks and you can go find the pencils somewhere. So you can actually have both. And as a cell collector, like animation cell collector, I have a lot of both. I have like the animation cell that was filmed and used in the movie, and I have the pencil version, the artist version.
I like like I don't see why not. Yeah,
and for me, I like the pencil version of like the animation cells almost more than I like the animation cells. Although, you know, as far as decorative, you know, wall hangings, the painted ones are always better looking, I guess.
Yeah.
But like those Andre Deja,
those are amazing.
I have like 3 Jafars, like of the original penciler Disney animator, and I have kind of the progression in order, and they're all the rough pencils, and they're freaking gorgeous.
I think we've shown them once before in one of the tour videos. If you guys are curious about that and want to go back and search the archive of videos that we have, it's a really cool piece.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that, Taylor? Do you feel like that one version should be over the other, or?
I think definitely not. I think you bring up a very valid point that if you are a collector, the blue line is the final piece. That is the piece that went to print. And I think it's very arbitrary to claim like that it's somehow not an original because it has some blue printer ink on it. I don't really see how that is even relevant. Like, it doesn't really make any sense to me because it's weird. Like, you can own like you said, you can own the pencils and the ink separately. Then it more expands the market than anything.
Yeah, I think it expands the market. But however, having said that, I do believe, and maybe, well, no, I don't. It's not even because of that. I was gonna try to be, I guess, more fair, but it really isn't. The ink version is the finished version.
Yes.
That is the one that should hold the value because that's the one that everybody knows about. That's what all...
It went to print.
Yeah, it's what's in the comic, and that's what should hold the value. And I'll argue that to anybody because I really do feel that that's the way it is.
Oh, definitely. I think it's just I don't want to say an excuse, but it's just another excuse to try to haggle, I think, with artists.
It does feel that way.
And I don't know, if you want to support an artist that you respect, don't do that. Hey, Pamela's here.
Hey, Pamela here.
Hey guys, I left my phone.
Oh, that's the only reason she comes in here.
Well, I thought I lost it.
Oh. I guess that's a good reason to search all rooms.
Yeah, right.
We need a soundboard to like make little sound effects like clappings and laughter when people come in.
Clap, 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 clap.
Pamela, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pamela.
James says, I forgot who, but I remember one CG affiliated artist using red pencils for a drawing. He then inked and colored by hand. Is there a specific reason to do that over blue?
I think the only time I saw red pencils that made sense to me is old storyboard artists used to do that.
Yes.
So they would kind of build up like in one color, and so then they could draw over that color. So let's just say they have it in red, or like blue probably would be the first. And they'd run it by the art director or the director, and then they'd go, okay, here's the changes. And then they would draw red over that, and they go, where's the changes? And then they would finish it up. So I think maybe it was a way to not have to redo the entire drawing from scratch.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
I know what you're talking about because the only place I've ever seen red pencils were also in storyboards, but I didn't know the significance of them. I mean, it seems like either way, it doesn't really matter what color it is so long as it's light enough that you can remove it in the computer, which is why,
Well, this predated that, so this wasn't work for reproduction. So I don't know if you can take out red pencil, can you? I think red prints up as black.
Red would probably, I mean, if they were using it like how we're using blue line, it probably would be way more difficult. And I think, unless it was super, super light. Like if you guys see in the camera how light this blue is, it would probably have to be even lighter, I would think, right?
Well, we used to draw. It was a red line. You guys, I'm really old. So before computers,
Experienced.
Sometimes you'd see, especially in the I think the most pronounced would be like the old X-Men stuff I was doing with Jim and Wills, and what I would do is like if you saw a boxed shape, like sometimes like see how this is framing in her, it's a box. Sometimes you'd want to do the box. If you guys remember those old X-Men comics, let's say there's a figure, right? Here's your figure, and then you draw like a box, but it's not quite like a panel box. It's just a box. If you remember, sometimes it was like color on color or white and then color, but there was no holding line. So what we would do is we would ink on the board, Taylor, we would ink the red line. So the red line would stand out from the black line, but when they printed it or when they shot the copies for the colorist, it would register as a black line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it wasn't like non-photo blue. It was a way of like showing the printer one thing and the colorist another, because then the colorist would know to remove the red line.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Then if you remove the red line, then it's just color on color. And back in the day, you had to have a black ink holding line to distinguish one color to the next, because they couldn't just print it right next to each other. So we did stuff like that. So if you notice, like on a lot of Adventures of Superman and old X-Men, I would even paint Starfields in. I would draw them in with a red pen, with a red marker. Actually, just something like this, like a red Sharpie, and I would just kind of do red dots. And so then the colorist would just color over it, but then the printer would take out the red dots and then they would be white.
Hmm.
So then it would be like a painted Starfield. So if you didn't want like black, and then you know how you paint with white paint over the black, that's how you usually do Starfields. But if you want to do something dusk or something that was a little more subtle, you could do it that way. Now they can paint everything and do all that stuff digitally. It's not even a problem to do that. But that was one of the things we used to do. And I remember I started getting really, really crazy on Adventures of Superman. And I'm looking for my roller. Where's my ruler? And oh, there it is. And so I remember Mike Carter, who was the editor on the Superman stuff, he's like, Art, you really got to stop this. And I'm like, what, man? It's really cool. He goes, yeah, it looks really amazing. He said, but I got the bill back from the printer. And he said, every time you do this, it costs us X amount of money. So I like that you do it. I don't want to, like step on your creativity, but you got to slow down.
That's funny.
Because I was doing it all over the place. Like as a creative person, if you get a new tool, you know what it's
method,
like.
yeah.
You get a new method, you just kind of exploit the hell out of it.
Hey, Captain Clockwork says, "Hey Art, Glenn Whitmore here. I remember what you're
That's
describing."
Glenn Whitmore, yes! Yeah. Oh my gosh, how you doing, Glenn? Holy shit! That is weird. Yeah, I was just basically talking about Glenn, yeah. That is so weird.
Good timing, Glenn.
Glenn was brilliant, man. He worked on, I think he did all the Superman books. There were 3 Superman books that shipped monthly. And
wow.
I believe that he colored, no, it was 4. Maybe he can help me in the chat. So it was Adventures, Action, Superman, and I think it was Man of Steel. So maybe it was 4 books. And all the storylines connected. So I think maybe the letterer, but I think the only through line of each one of the books was Glenn.
That's pretty
cool. So I think he worked
cool.
on all 4 of the books.
Glenn says 4, and he says, "Doing great, Art."
Oh, awesome. That's good to hear.
Bringing pals together here in the Hacks chat.
Holy moly. I want to use, like, harsher expletives.
James says, "That's some awesome happenstance."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Glenn.
And
we used to go on these Superman, what were they called? Where we'd go and brainstorm on like new Superman stories and things like that. And what was really cool is DC, and I think it was mainly Mike Carlin, would bring all the talent in, so we all got to participate in storylines.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so I think that's the first time, and maybe the only time, I met Glenn face to face.
They should do that more often to promote camaraderie and actually collaboration.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, with the CG books, there are a lot of local guys. So one of the things that we do talk about on the side is kind of hanging out and getting together.
Pretty cool.
So I think Pixel Trader and Sierra Whiskey, those guys are good guys.
They are. They're good friends. Glenn says, "Super Summits. Carlin filled in plot boxes on newsprint sheets."
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Super Summits.
And he also says, 4 books, and plus Man of Tomorrow was the skip week book.
Was that wasn't the Mike Mignola book, was it? That was World of Krypton. Yeah, that was World of Krypton, I think.
Man of Tomorrow. I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, for some reason it's not ringing a bell.
Super Summits. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there were Titan Summits too, Taylor.
Ooh.
So I got to go on that. That's when I got to come up with my Nightwing storyline.
The unseen Nightwing storyline. That would have been brilliant.
That one was cool because the Super Summit was in New York. So the backdrop there was it was just the DC offices, right? The Titan Summit, however, was the Universal Sheraton.
Ooh.
So we got to hang out, like, in the daytime. We went to Universal Studios and just hung out and goofed around. And then...
while talking about Teen Titans.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. This is like so weird to say this. I can't believe these things even happened. Like the Titan Summit. Get this powerhouse, Taylor. This is insane. Anybody that's a comic book person should know all these names, even though they're a little bit older. Okay, Marv Wolfman.
Good one.
Lin Wayne.
Creator of Wolverine.
Yeah, R.I.P. man. Way too early.
Classic.
Lin Wayne. We actually got to hang out with Marv a little bit at WonderCon.
That was right.
Yeah, you got to meet him. I introduced Taylor to the legendary Marv Wolfman. And,
he was kind of a mentor of yours, right?
Writing wise, yeah, and he definitely was on board with the Nightwing story and miniseries that I was going to do. And so Louise Simonson was there.
Ooh.
Kevin Maguire was there. A bunch of other people were there, but there were some pretty powerhouse people. And yeah, we just kind of sat around and plotted Teen Titan stuff as we were hanging out at amusement parks and just kind of doing, I don't know, geeky stuff.
You guys are riding the Back to the Future ride. Like, this gives me a great idea.
Yeah, maybe they should. Maybe we should do an Endgame type story. Don't get me started, man. Don't get me started.
Let's see. Paul Ryan drew it. Says, talking about the. I'm assuming Glenn's talking about the Man of Tomorrow. Paul Ryan drew it.
Oh, okay.
We got John Wayland in the house who just showed up and says, "Hey, Art."
Hey, John.
And Ray Thula says, "Art's not old. He's just max level."
Yes.
Ooh, that's cool.
I'm gonna get T-shirts made.
Max level.
I'm so max level. I don't know what it means, but I like the way it sounds. And that's all that matters.
Level 49 Bard.
Level 49, sum 41. The sum of 41.
That sounds like a good time. I wish they still did things like that.
It was crazy. So, you know my personality, and everybody in the chat probably knows this, and I might have said this on one of the threads, but we were going on that ET ride, and I don't know if you guys have been to
that. Wait, that's where this happened?
Yeah, this was the Titan Summit, yeah.
Wow, this changes the context of this story so much.
Oh, you never knew that part of it.
No, I thought it was just with, like, friends. Like...
Yeah, so the weirdest thing is, like, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to amusement parks with friends. Like, it's always weird, like, when you're with a group of people, like, you're all waiting in line together and stuff, and it's just kind of, because I'm so used to waiting in line just being, like, with like one or two people or my family, but this is like you're with a group of people that you don't really know very well and stuff, and so it's just different. Not bad, but just different.
With a big group, it is weird.
Yeah, so it was like the whole Titans group, and so we're all waiting in line, and I just remember, I think the line, you know, some of these do at the amusement parks where you kind of can see the end of the ride from the line queue.
Oh, yeah. I know what
so,
you're talking about.
So I'd never been on this ride, I believe. And so, my wife was there too, because she was co-writing the Nightwing series. And so we're waiting in line. And of course, the writers just kind of hung out with each other, you know. And
writers.
They just stayed close together. So that was Marv, Lynn, and Louise. And they were way more serious-minded than I am. And so, you know, I'm just the guy. Like, I every one of the summits, I'm always like, but is it fun? Like, that was my main thing. Like, is it cool? Like, does it have the cool factor? So, waiting in line. And so, I saw that E.T. at the end of the ride would say your name. So, he would say, hey, what is it? Forget the
Elliot.
Yeah, he'd go like, later, Bob. Later, Sally. Later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And he'd say your name. So then one of the things is while you're waiting in the queue, they ask you your name. So if you're not like really paying attention like I was, then you don't know what's going to happen. And so I remember talking to everybody from the Titans, and I said, all right, you guys, we all have to say our name is Bob. Because I just want to hear E.T. say Bob. Because there's like 10 of us or something. Like, he would have just sounded like he was stuttering. And I just thought it would sound like the robot is broken or something. Like, goodbye, Bob. So I thought it'd be hilarious. And then, oh my gosh, it was like, like your parents where you do something, you think it's hilarious, and they just go, nope.
Fine.
Oh, look what Billy's doing.
Yes, we know. He's saying Bob.
He's messing things up. This really isn't that funny, Art. And so I got like half the people on board, but I didn't get those three. I didn't get Lynn, Marv, and Louise Simonson on board.
Why not?
I don't know. They just decided to play it smart or play it by the book. And so then it just made it funnier though, you guys. So it's like Bob, Louise, Bob, Marv, Bob, Lynn. Yeah.
That ride used to be awesome, by the way.
I thought it was really cool, and when my daughter Amanda was old enough, I really wanted her to go on that ride because there's not a lot to do for like little kids at Universal, and so I thought it would be cool. And so we got there, they had closed the darn ride. It wasn't open, so I was like, oh, this is like not cool. This isn't cool, Universal.
Somebody in the chat, John says, Art, have you been to Six Flags recently?
I think the last time I went was to celebrate Amanda's graduation, so that was probably 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of a drive.
Yeah, for us, it's definitely a drive.
It's not close.
So, is there something we should know about Universal? Or
I know it's all.
Six Flags? So I'm thinking, like, did they do something new?
Yeah, that was very ominous. I'm curious if there's any.
Yeah, I have nothing against Six Flags.
Now I'm intrigued to know.
Although that time we went, oh my gosh, it was freezing cold.
Oh no.
And like, okay, I'm used to like Disneyland where they'll bring out heat lamps or they'll open like some of the restaurants so you can get like, like warmed up. Or like Disney has a lot of queues that you can wait inside. But not Universal, I keep saying that. Six Flags is all like the queues are outside. And so we were freezing. And all we wanted, Taylor, was either a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, or something. Nowhere in this entire park was somebody selling hot chocolate. And I'm thinking, do you not want to make money? Like, you would sell so much hot chocolate right now.
Oh, yeah.
Or coffee if you were selling it. But they weren't.
I mean, just anything in those kind of situations.
Yeah, just to take, the chill off. But no.
Oh, Six Flags.
Oh, Six Flags.
John says, just wondering if you still ride roller coasters.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Do you know John Wayland? That was almost sounded threatening.
I know. I just want to know if you still ride. Yeah.
Are you a roller coaster person?
I am. It has to be pretty darn cool, and it kind of depends. Like, if he means because I'm older, I do have like a quota though. So if I go to like Knott's, which is another local amusement park, or like Six Flags, I have to kind of space out the roller coasters because it'll be a little bit too much.
Sierra Whiskey says Six Flags is garbage, Art.
Okay, thank you. It is garbage.
Well, now we have permission.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to like poop on anybody's point, but yeah, Six Flags is a piece of...
It's not a favorite.
I always feel like I'm going to get beat up, like some gang members.
Oh, it's a real possibility
like,
there.
Stab me or something.
I remember when Knott's Berry Farm was starting to get that same kind of reputation. They've kind of cleaned up. I remember for a while it got a little crazy there, but there was a skit on The Simpsons where they were playing some like California, California song, and they just showed Snoopy like mugging some kids like at Knott's, and I was like, that's accurate.
Knott's doesn't really get ghetto until you go in the ghost town, but I think I still like the ghost town, like nostalgia.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, I like it because it's so cheesy, horrible.
The last Halloween, I went there, and the girl that was doing the ghost town tour like did not care. You could tell she just wanted to get off work and go hang out with her friends. And like, you know, they have like a set script, and I just remember there's a part where you go through they show the actual gold, and she's like, look at all those shinies. Ain't they purty? Ain't they purty? Like, she just read it, like, in the flattest way possible.
She's dead inside.
It made the experience way better.
Wouldn't that be awesome if, like Disney, you know how they have, like, the Jungle Cruise? Like, you're on the Jungle Cruise and you just get, like, a disgruntled person, like, oh, look at that.
It's the other side of water.
I get to see it every day. Every damn day.
I have to shoot them with the flare gun.
Oh, did you hear? God, I love all the Disney inside stuff. Did you know that gun used to be a real gun?
Really?
Did you know that?
No.
The original Jungle Cruise, the gun was a real gun, and I mean it shot blanks, but you know, I mean that's
kind of. But, like, were the employees still, like, 17-year-olds?
I would imagine, yeah.
Because I don't know how I'd feel about one of them.
Well, I have a feeling that's why it changed.
Because like, that
just
was
aim
not...
it at each other, or...
Yes.
Because what was there was a show, and there was some, like, actor, like a TV show in the 80s or whenever it was, and he had a promising career... And he was kind of like goofing around playing Russian roulette with a gun, and he didn't understand how blanks worked, and he just basically he offed himself.
I think that happened like a lot back because they used to use them in film a lot.
Well, they still do, but they understand like there's a muzzle flash, so there is if you put that thing up point blank or you have it relatively close. There's still a projectile that comes out because that's how they get that muzzle flash.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly...
It's not just making a sound.
Right, exactly.
Unfortunately for, you know...
Because that's what took Brandon Lee out, right?
Oh, that's right, yeah. His is a weird circumstance, though. It was like it was like a cue, and was it loaded, or was it actually a...
I heard that they thought it was clean. Like, I guess the prop guy was supposed to clean the gun out. I don't know how you do all that stuff. And there was either the blank misfired, or that there was something else in the gun barrel.
Oh,
but
man.
all it was just a small... It doesn't take much to kill a human being. It's just a small projectile in the right place. And, his fate was sealed.
Yeah, we're simultaneously, like, humans are kind of amazing, the stuff we can heal from, but we can also be, like, you know...
Really fragile.
Yeah, at the same time. Let's see. Tommy Lee, he died on set, says Sierra Whiskey.
Tommy Lee? The drummer of Motley Crue?
I think he's still around.
Sadly, he's going to be like that, what is that guy from the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards? Tommy Lee will be this generation's Keith Richards.
John Whalen says, LOL ghetto zones at theme parks. Rhaegar Targaryen says, people stop riding roller coasters past a certain age. It's the strangest thing. And I'm talking like 30 to 40 years of age.
Oh my gosh. No. Like, I still ride them. We went to the Florida parks, the Disney Florida parks. I took the family. I think that was also, I forget what. It was a monumental occasion of my daughter. So we usually do some kind of celebratory thing. And so we went there, and they have this thing called like the Aerosmith rock and roller coaster or something like that.
I heard the thing's cool.
And it's like 0 to whatever, like 100 in like next to no time. It's some kind of catapult, like that. Like they catapult like those planes off of like flat top like ships.
Do you hear Steven Tyler screaming the whole time?
Oh yeah, you like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever it is, and it's like boom, And the first thing you do, you hit a loop.
Ugh.
You get shot into a loop. So it's not like you gradually, and it's all kind of dark, so you don't see it. So you go right into a loop, and I think there's another loop, and then there's a corkscrew right after it. So it's kind of dark, and so you really don't see where you're going and where the track is.
There's no break in between.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad. Shut your mouth. So I wanted to go on it again, but what I didn't understand, I hate this part of like sometimes when you go on vacation, you get really sick.
Oh yes.
And in this case, I was deathly ill.
You were sick like from the instant you got there, right? I remember it was super bad.
I think I had one day, and then my family was sick too. We were all like really bad, like different days. My wife ended up passing a kidney stone. Like it was.
Oh gosh, that's absolutely horrible.
It was like a dream vacation, but like kind of the worst situation. So then my daughter's like, we gotta go on again, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, just let me catch my breath, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like the vertigo.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure if I went on it again. I don't really know how it went, but I know that either my daughter went on it again or we both went on it again. Yeah, but that was like everything I could handle to do it, and then of course like, you know, then we went on Tower of Terror.
Oh gosh.
So it's like the trifecta of whatever.
Hello, permanent vertigo.
There was one day when all I ate was a banana, and my daughter says this, I don't even remember this. She said you couldn't even eat the whole banana.
Oh.
And at one point you just threw it over your shoulder while you were waiting in line at the like the Jungle Cruise or whatever it was, and some lady was just like, oh my gosh, look at that guy. He just threw a banana.
He's so inconsiderate.
I know.
Meanwhile, you're like half dead in a zombified state.
I literally do not remember that entire day.
Oh no. You'll always remember the magic.
I'm glad Amanda was a little bit more alive that day, because that's the only way I can recall it.
Rhaegar says, my nervous function is involuntary laughing. When I'm on a roller coaster, that is a sign of me being terrified.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to tell one of your Disney stories?
No.
My wife just walked in.
Yeah, Pamela just entered.
She's like, kidney stones?
Oh, don't even go there.
Too late.
Have you been telling stories?
I told him about our amazing Disney vacation.
Oh my golly, that was horrible.
The Disney vacation wasn't. It was just bad for us. We were all sick.
Just sick.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Oh.
Rhaegar says Art threw a banana over his shoulder like Luke with that lightsaber.
It was exactly the same. It was the same gesture. It was like over my shoulder. Like, I guess it was a contemptuous move. I think I threw it into a flower bed, but I couldn't have been more obvious with it from what I hear.
That's funny and terrible.
And the thing about it, those were Disney prices for the banana.
Ooh, so, that's like a $8 banana.
Yeah, so that banana probably cost me $8.
Aw. That's pretty bad. The roller coaster should be called World's Worst Mistake, says Rockin'.
It's not exactly what Disney had in mind when he came up with Epcot Center. This one's gonna make you shit.
Oh my gosh.
We should have one called the Vomitorium.
Sierra Whiskey says, it doesn't take much to kill human beings, in quotes. Art says from experience.
I do have a near death, but that is a tale for another time.
You have a couple, right?
And near death experiences.
That is a tale for another time.
You know what though? Maybe I'll tell it, because I was listening to I gotta take off. I'm getting hot talking about this stuff. I'm getting heated up.
By the way, it's a beautiful day out for us to be inside making comics.
Yeah, and we have to close the windows because all the sounds will come in. We have to soundproof the studio just for you guys. But I don't know if you knew that, like, George Lucas was a gearhead, and I was a little bit of a gearhead. Not anything like your boyfriend Taylor, but I was a little bit of a gearhead. I showed you that like car I restored and stuff in my past.
Yeah, Art and TJ have a lot of weird life parallels.
Yeah, all the way down to the scoliosis.
It's pretty weird. And you guys like built the same car.
Oh, that's right. He had a Maverick too.
Yes.
Mine was a Grabber though. Mine was the upscaled sports version.
It's pretty cool. I know. I think he had a lot of envy about that.
Actually, the thing is, like, that's actually a joke. Like, Ford didn't have anything in the 70s that was worth anything at the time.
Whoa.
I will stand by that. Not even the Mustang. The Mustang was kind of stupid.
What?
In the 70s?
It was the best looking Mustang, though.
Are you kidding? I think you're mistaking, like, the Cobra and the Shelby and all the 60s stuff. But,
Mayhaps.
But anyway, he was, like, totally interested in cars. So, you know, like, whole, like, American Graffiti, the cruising thing and stuff like that.
I always forget that he has that, like, aspect to him.
Yeah, so that's kind of, like, all his aspirations were. They were kind of geared up that way. And so he had kind of, oh my gosh, it was pretty weird, the timing and everything. So he had like a little sports car, and it was a small town in Modesto, I think, like California, where he lived. And so he had this little sports car. I want to say an MG, like one of those midgets, but I'm not sure what it was actually. And he lost control of it, and he crashed into a tree or something.
Oh man!
But
Oops, sorry, I just turned on my sound on accident.
Yeah, it was a small town, so he did it like he lost control right in front of his house. Like, you know, these are big. These aren't like, you know, like neighborhoods like this. This is like, you know, more spacious, you know, area and stuff. And so all his friends knew about it, like, because they knew his car.
Oh, man.
And so his mom, it was like right in front of his house, so his mom got to see the freaking carnage.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so it's one thing, like, going to the hospital and seeing your kid or whatever messed up, but it's another thing seeing him fresh in the scene.
Yes, oh my gosh.
And a lot of similar things happened to him, like collapsed lung, things like that. Like, that happened to me. I was hit by a motorcycle it's not Northern California, but the hills, the Angeles Crest Mountains. And so he had a collapsed lung and, like, broken ribs and all this other stuff. And so when he was in the hospital, he kind of had this epiphany about, like this isn't the thing to do. Like, he just thought he would, you know, stay there and just be kind of, I guess, just be, you know, a guy that raced cars and whatever. You know, no real goal in mind.
Ironic, because a similar thing happened to Mark Hamill later.
Yeah, and so Corvette Summer.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so I guess, you know, when you're in the hospital, you have a lot of time to think, which is what I did. And so I remember that a friend of mine brought in comic books when I was in, because you can't do anything. All you can do is just lay there. And so brought comic books to me. And so I hadn't read comic books since I was a kid. So that kind of rejuvenated my interest in comic books. And also, Sketchpad was brought in. So I would just, you know, I need something to draw, so I had the comic books in front of me. So I would just draw from the comic books. So that's kind of the thing that happened similarly as George Lucas. So I'm not saying I'm as brilliant as George Lucas. Of course I am. But
if you read black and white,
you'll find out for sure. It's just as good as Star Wars, if not better.
Definitely better than the last movie. I think we can at least agree on that.
Yes. That was a little tangent, but...
No, I think it's interesting just how those things you sort of adapt. I guess when you're a creative person, you're usually creative in most aspects, and I think people are into cars and stuff like that, and like in your case you're into music as well. Like, it's all forms of being a creative human being, and I think all humans are creative in some capacity, but I feel like a lot of people who are like very like principally creative, or they want to do that in their life, they have moments like that where I guess they kind of have to choose what direction they really pursue primarily.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me and maybe George, is that we kind of couldn't do stuff anymore. So I couldn't really go back to being a musician, because that's kind of what I did before, even though that was still kind of a casual pursuit.
I mean, if you guys watch Kiss Corner, you'll see you guys played some pretty cool places, including Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, we did play Knott's Berry Farm.
Back when they used to have cool bands. I heard that's when it got crazy there, by the way.
Yeah, it was great. You definitely knew where all the teens were on Friday and Saturday night. They were all there.
The movie Armageddon. Somebody asked. James says, "Does Art ever use actual white inks while working?"
What kind of ink?
White inks.
I have a bottle of it right here.
What is that like? Is that like an opaque, or can you use it almost like a whiteout?
The reason people use it is because you can use it like ink, so you can dip a quill in to the white, and then you can ink over black. Yeah, and it, for the most part, it covers pretty well. It's very temperamental though. That's why I don't do it too often, because it doesn't flow as well as just black ink. So I'm trying to think. I know I used it on that Action Comic stuff with Steve and Segovia.
Some pretty cool stuff.
But I can't think of exactly what I used it for.
Let's see. The most expensive banana ever. Let's see. Is this a print that he is inking? Says T. Sarah T.
A print?
What you're inking right now. This is not a print. This is an original page, a panel from Black and White Remastered.
Page 53.
To be exact. T. Sarah Art says, there's videos of Jim Lee using white inks for hair highlights or windows for buildings.
Yeah, you can use it for anything that your imagination could come up with. So, anything that's black, you can ink right over it.
And Rhaegar says, being hit by vehicles sucks. I was hit by a car in 8th grade. Thank God I only broke my left tibia.
Yeah, I snapped my leg in two. Like, I almost lost my leg.
It's pretty crazy, like, that you healed from that.
Yeah, it was weird because I was working as, I worked at a supermarket. And so there was a guy that I worked with. This is so weird. He had a similar accident, although he was on the motorcycle.
Ooh.
He wasn't hit by a motorcycle. And so he had a similar compound fracture as mine. But oh my gosh, it didn't heal, and they ended up having to take the leg. So it's still, like, you just think modern science, right? But it's still, that stuff still happens, man.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so weird we got on this subject. Like, the human body can really heal from some things, but people don't realize that, like, vehicles too, like, they will mess you up.
Yeah, the damage they can do.
Like, it's pretty scary. And people will just, like, jaywalk and run in front of cars and stuff. Like,
well, even a car at a slow-moving speed can, just a sheer weight, can do some serious damage to a frail human body.
Don't ever do that, you guys.
Yeah, don't go out and get hit by a car.
Well, I mean, don't run across the road.
I mean, sometimes it sounds like a good thing, but really, it's not.
But it led you to comics.
It actually did.
In the weirdest way.
Yeah, I was seriously on the path of like not being anything. I was pretty much a punk.
It's such a weird thing to think about in that way.
Yeah, I kind of believe in like a certain level of divine intervention, because I feel like that kind of was it for me. And I think if we, not to get spiritual or anything, but if we really pay attention, you can see those things like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of faded. Let's see. Is this a pram? But bikes and meat are a bad combination, says Durakin. And Durakin says white is basically white ink is basically for being lazy about being careful with black ink. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but there's actually another tool that's even better. Let me see if I can find it. It's magic. It's Presto.
Yes.
This is the jumbo correction pen.
It's the best white out there.
Yeah, you guys, if there's any other like brands, don't get them. I had a bunch of cheap ones, and I was lucky that Taylor had one of these left over. These Prestos are the best.
I didn't know how good they were until I think I like brought one in. And you're like, oh my gosh, these are super good. Like I didn't even know.
Yeah, I used to use, and these things, for the most part, they don't chip or crack. Like what happens sometimes when you paint this stuff on and you move the page, it'll chip and crack. But it doesn't, and you can ink over it pretty good. It'll cover, or you can cover over it pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but you know, I just find it better just not to make the mistakes. Then you don't need to use anything.
Rhaegar says about the guy from your story, oh my god, he lost his leg. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We called him Limpy.
TC Art says, I was trying not to laugh at that.
Or Stumpy.
Out of all the pages that Art has inked, is there any page that you will keep forever, i.e. never sell it for anybody?
Yes.
If so, why?
Yes. Hey, Taylor, you want to give the people a treat?
Where
it's
is
hanging
it?
on the wall right there.
Oh, yes. I'm going to get this down carefully.
Give the people what they want. Yeah, I don't often get sentimental about stuff, and most of the things I've gotten rid of. And
This is a good one, you guys.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Can they see it? See if we can frame this
Let
up.
me see. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, so this is an Adventures of Superman page, and it's Lois showing, or basically Lois and Clark telling Jimmy about the engagement. So this leads up to the wedding, which ended up getting, I think it got postponed because of the Lois and Clark wedding. So Warner Brothers had a mandate that we couldn't do it even though we had set it up. So then everybody at the Super Summit decided to kill Superman instead.
Aww.
So yeah, the reason the death of Superman happened is because Warner Brothers wouldn't allow us to do it in the comic book. I mean, the wedding part into the comic book. Oh, here's also that red line stuff I was telling you about.
Oh, there it is.
So you can see the like energy coming off of her ring. What that would be is it'd be color on color. So that little energy thing would just be color with the background color there. And so you can kind of see it's faded, but there's like some smoke or some mist here in the background with a red marker, and that's the same idea. And so the reason this is so special is, one, it's a pretty monumental occasion as far as Superman story, but this is my girlfriend at the time, Pamela, who became my wife. This is Elvis Presley. So this was the big time when they had the Elvis sightings going on. So I thought, hey, we'll put Elvis in here. And so this is Priscilla. They're having a serious conversation. Look at Priscilla. She doesn't look happy there.
She doesn't.
Yeah. And so then this is me. Like, it's me. And so then this is Trevor Scott, who ended up becoming an amazing inker and comic book artist. He used to work at Hack Shack Studios. And this is John Owen, who kind of had a little bit of a stint in the comics industry. So these were Hack Shack alumnists. I put them in the book as well. So there's Gumby. There's a Gumby sighting there as well. So yeah, so this was the page that I'll never get rid of. And so, oh, there's Glenn's name. Oh my gosh, it's coming full circle.
Oh, look at that.
There's Glenn Whitmore right there. Colors. And then there's Mort Carlin. Mike Carlin. We
Pretty
had
cool.
We had a million nicknames for Mike Carlin.
I don't think I'd ever heard the Mort one.
Yeah. I used to call him Uncle. Uncle Mikey. Ooh.
Uncle Mikey.
Oh, maybe that's where Uncle Mikey came from. Now Uncle Mikey is Mike Miller.
Oh, Uncle Mikey. So that's the page. That was a good question.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share that. And thanks for bringing that down. Taylor?
I don't think we've shown it before in tours, but I think that's the best view you guys have probably gotten of it. James says, I've seen so many artists using whiteout recently. I was curious why they didn't just use white ink and brushes with it.
I just use, this is what I use. I just use the Dr. Martens bleed proof white. And I just paint it on. I have more versatility with the brush, and also I can control the flow better than dipping a nib into ink, white ink.
John Whalen just gave us a super chat. Thank you, John, for $2. And John Whalen says, is black and white going to have all new colors?
Oh, hells yeah.
We've shown a couple of them on some of the streams, but yeah, it's a brand spanking new digital color. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, because some of these pages, like the one I'm working on right now, these are brand new pages.
Yeah, this was never even in the other book, really, so fresh.
Certified fresh.
Just like from Rotten Tomatoes. Comic Book Bob, the engagement issue. Durakin says they wanted to not kill the excitement of Lois and Clark, the TV show, to do it.
Exactly, but it was mandated. Don't get me wrong, man. Warner Brothers said you guys are not doing this. We are doing it on the show.
That is whatever. I guess I don't know. Yeah, he says that was a big event they were building up to in the show, so it would have killed the show for another medium to do it, according to the executives.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand it, but it still doesn't feel good being relegated to, like, second-class citizen.
Oh, yeah, like, no, we want to do it.
And it was planned, from what I understand, way before the Lois and Clark TV show.
Oh, definitely.
Which, by the way, I really didn't watch, so I feel good about that.
I didn't watch it either. I mean, I was a kid, but I remember it would come on. Ironically, I remember sometimes it would come on WB after, like, the Superman, the animated show, at some point during the time slot, which was really strange.
You get a double dose.
Yeah. I don't think I ever watched it. I just wanted to watch the cartoons.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of good. It was smart marketing as far as to get, like, girls and like, young girls and women.
And I guess it kind of worked.
Into it because it was kind of framed up more as like a soap opera.
Yeah.
A relationship show. But I didn't really. I think I did watch like an episode or two, and I don't remember liking it that much.
That animated Superman, though, that thing was mwah.
That thing was really cool.
It was the episode with Bizarro is really good, and it's very sad.
I have an animation cell from that show.
That's right. It's a cool one too. It's Soup's flying, right?
Yeah, it's a pan. It's like Superman flying, so it's this way. So I think it's longer. It's like 2 cells wide.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like you know how they pan the camera across.
That's a good one. It's a good find. Lois and Clark is a good show, says Dragon.
Okay, maybe I think you can get it on Blu-ray or DVD.
I'd be curious to watch it just because of, like, the weird historical significance it kind of has in, like, comic history.
Yeah, looking back at it now.
I feel like it was also the start, I guess, of, like, those, like, what later became, like, the CW shows in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I do think it was the template for that. Although I do believe that predated that, didn't it? Because that was on, like, network television, I think, that Lois and Clark.
I think it was, yeah, now that you mention it. The last line in that Bizarro episode was heartbreaking, says Comic Book Bob. What is it? I can't remember. Thanks for the share art, says T Sarah T. And
oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
And Durakin says, if black and white isn't black and white, I'm going to claim false advertising.
Well, in that case, it's in black and white.
You can get a black and white version of it that is digital in the PDF bundle.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, you can't anymore. They're sold out. I guess you missed your shot. You'll just have to buy the Oodles of Doodles bundle.
That's funny. Yeah.
Let's see. The last line in that bizarre episode is heartbreaking. It's the very... Oh, Rhaegar says, that's the very reason I didn't watch it. I was a young boy and it was clearly a romance drama, not the target audience.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was at, too.
Sarah T says, I like that inkers bring different styles to a page. It seems that Marvel has abandoned inkers altogether, as I rarely see inker credits in Marvel books. Is this just Marvel being penny pinchers?
Yes. I hate Marvel. And I hate them for not the same reasons that most people hate Marvel. I have a personal stake and a personal hate, and I will tell that at some point. I think the only place I ever told that story is actually on Mitch Broadweiser's channel. And for some reason, he made me feel comfortable enough to share that story.
He's pretty good. He's good at that, I think.
He was almost like my therapist. I felt like I can share my soul with you.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. But I have never told that story even on Hacks Chat.
I know, that's kind of weird.
But you know the story.
I do know the story.
You want to tell it?
It's a sad story. Do you want me to try to tell it?
No.
Because
that would be one of these days. Yeah.
From your point of view.
It would have you. That'd be so awesome. It'll be like that scene in Ant-Man where that guy's like, and they said like, "Yo, whatever."
Yes, it would. So then Musashi Senpai or whatever the hell he calls himself said.
So then CB Chabalski or whatever that asshole's name is.
CB Swiftbalski.
I'm sorry, I can't hide my anger.
It's a good story, but it's not a
It's
It's a good sad story.
Maybe if I start drinking, we should do a thread where we really start drinking.
Man, we could. I could have TJ pick me up. It's for the live stream.
It's for the fans.
They're my family now.
I love each and every one of you.
I feel like we'd have a good time doing that.
I don't know. I don't know myself that well to know if I'm a happy drunk.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on how much I've had to drink.
I mean, every happy drunk doesn't stay a happy drunk after a while. You reach a threshold.
And then you just become sad drunk.
Aww. Let's see. It was on TNT, I believe, says Draken.
TNT. Dynamite.
Rhaegar says, it would pretty much be like watching Dallas, but with Superman or Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove.
I've never actually watched Lonesome Dove. It's on my Amazon queue.
Oh my gosh, who pulled that out? Gosh, it's so weird hearing this stuff. Like, oh gosh, Taylor, I was working one late night, and you know how like YouTube would just kind of like become like sentient, and it'll just kind of give you whatever like YouTube wants to give you. And so this documentary comes up of like Battlestar Galactica.
What?
And I'm like, holy crap! Like the 70s or 80s. I don't know when it was done. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like clearly from a different time. Like I forgot that show even existed.
It was a strange one for sure.
And then they were kind of talking about, like, they had star power on that show, Taylor. They had Fred Astaire.
Who is that?
You don't know who Fred Astaire is?
No.
Okay, you know the guy that does the, you'll know this. This is so weird that I have to pull this for you. You know Singing in the Rain?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
For some reason.
Or is that Gene Kelly? I don't know. Who did I say?
Astaire.
Yeah, Fred Astaire. So there's Gene Kelly, there's Fred Astaire. I don't know who's in Singing in the Rain, actually. But you know that Santa Claus is coming to the town, the stop animation?
Oh, yes, I love that one.
You know the guy that's the mail guy that's delivering...
You better watch out.
You know that guy?
Yes, I do.
That's Fred Astaire.
Oh, okay.
I like that I had to pull out like that's Fred Astaire.
In that case, I do know who he is now.
Yeah, but you don't know him in his prime.
I know. I only know him as that that mailman from
From Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
That's what happens to
So that's how he got his name. Remember how they have like he's like telling it to a bunch of kids.
Remember we were
But you never see the kids. He's just like talking to a bunch of woodland creatures.
Remember we were talking about how like the movie Solo was pretty much that, where it's like that's how he got his. That's why he's called John Solo. Like we don't need to know like
every nuance, yeah.
That's where he got his gun.
And you know what? That's exactly how I feel about the prequels.
It is.
I'm sorry, George. There are people that say, oh, you know what? When you compare it to Rian Johnson's, no.
Yeah, but why are we comparing it to like the lowest common denominator anyway?
Exactly. They're both really horrible. Like,
are you an angel?
Are you an angel? Oh, Annie, you're breaking my heart.
He's literally little orphan Annie.
Well, he was orphaned after those damn sand people.
Yeah.
Up to that point, his mom was doing pretty good. She married a guy. And...
yeah, she was doing fine. She had her legitimate child who was getting married.
I was always like, what a bunch of Jedi a-holes. Like she's a slave, and they just take her one
child,
pride and joy, the one reason for living. They take the kid, and they don't liberate her or bring her.
Yeah, they're like, we can only take the boy. Sorry.
You know what? There's no room for you here.
I took you into my home.
I fed you. I'm poor. I gave you my best ale.
What we're saying is, that reminds me of Thor. Like, I gave you my best ale, Qui-Gon. My best gin.
Qui-Gon's an a-hole.
Oh, gosh.
He follows in the rich tradition of Jedi a-holes, though.
He does.
Because you know what? Let's face it, Obi-Wan was no gem.
Yeah, forcing, like, Luke to take on his battle that he wasn't even requested to do and putting him in danger.
You know what? I think you'll do.
Lying to him with
Also,
a story about his dad.
He knew going into it Leia was his sister.
And he didn't tell him.
He didn't tell him. He didn't tell him that Anakin or whatever, Darth Vader, was his dad.
He let him get enticed by his own sister to try to use him.
He actually was like, what if they would have slept together? Oh, thanks, Obi-Wan.
It would have been Obi-Wan's fault because he's the one who, like, encouraged it.
What if in the trash compactor they didn't think they were going to live and they were like, all right, man, I'm a virgin and there's one thing I want to do in life.
And then Obi-Wan just like, Luke, no.
No.
I forgot to tell you.
Why? There's something you need to know. You share DNA. Well, yeah, we're going to share No!
That's not what I meant, Luke.
I meant something else. Listen, I'm trying to be coy. I don't want to spoil the plot.
What you're going to tell me after? Like...
Could you imagine Carrie Fisher, like, if she got that in the script, how she would act?
I think it'd be very entertaining.
You know how, like, she can get really irate at the drop of a hat in those Star Wars movies? Like, she's just like, what? I would love that scene to happen with her and Obi-Wan.
And she knew who Obi-Wan was, and they don't really, like, explain how she
I just want her to
knew.
slap him.
His ghost.
No, he was still alive.
She's like, I called specifically for your help, and then you just, like, wrangled Luke to do it.
Luke / my brother.
Aw. Have you seen somebody edited in the Return of the Jedi movie where, is it Return of the Jedi? The last one. They edited where she tells Han, like, he's my brother, and then she kisses him. But they edited it so, like, it zooms in on Han's face and plays, like, some dramatic music, and it just keeps replaying that scene of when she kissed Luke. Like, his eyes are all, like, turned, he looks all disturbed. Let's see. James says, I'd like to hear Art versus Marvel in the CB story sometime when Art feels comfortable enough to share it with us.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal when I do it. It's going to be big because it's going to be emotional. And I try not to let my anger get the better of me sometimes, and I can't guarantee that it won't.
It'll be an event.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have trouble pronouncing your name. TCYT Art says, Art, has anybody suggested you ink Brett Booth's art? I can see it being thebomb.com.
I've inked Brett. I inked all his early stuff over at Wildstorm. His Backlash stuff. Yeah.
Hear a cat screaming.
Never question. I've inked all.
And you can, I don't know if any of that's on there, but you can see many things, many titles, many people that Art has inked on artbythibert.com. Linked in the description. It is the original art shop. It's got prints. And right now, we're having a sale, actually.
It's a giveaway.
A giveaway is more precise.
Should I show them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me see if I can find it. I gotta look through all this garbage here.
But it's a great website. It's also a great archive.
Is the camera still on?
Art's
Can I see
work.
this?
Yes. I'll pull it up so you can see it as well.
So this is taking shape. Whitney lunging at the camera. Oh, here it is. Go ahead. Keep talking. And then I'll pop this.
So, in honor of Avengers Endgame right now, we have a giveaway going where if you spend $100, which will be quite easy as there's tons of original art prints, etc. there, you will get this Spider-Man print.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely free. And maybe, go ahead and explain this one.
We have a few of these also available. Some random buyers will get their Spider-Man print like this with a remark on it. There's very few of them, but they will be there and they will be going out in some random orders of $100 or more.
Yeah, there's only 3 of the remarks, so they're just going to be randomly placed in the orders. So we have a couple of orders now. So we didn't put a timeline on this, did we?
We did not. When do you want to cut this off?
We usually do a month, so maybe the end of this. Yeah, we should do it at the end of this month.
Okay.
So, in all orders that are in between now and the end of this month, we'll get a free print like this, but there's going to be 3 random remarks that will be into the orders as well. So 3 lucky people will get the hand-doodled remark.
But everyone else will get the fantastic print, which is pretty darn cool in honor of Avengers Endgame. And
Peter, Spider-Man, is now officially in Avengers. Wasn't he sworn in?
He is. He was sworn in.
Yeah.
So, artbythibert.com. The link is in the description. Check it out. Browse at your leisure. There's a ton of stuff on there. And we have a newsletter you can join as well. All the people who joined the newsletter got first word about this giveaway. And if you want to be privy to news about giveaways, news about campaigns, everything first look, definitely join that newsletter. It's absolutely free, and we won't spam you. We send out about 3 a month.
Yeah. Last month, I think we only sent out 1.
So we won't overspam you, and you get a ton of deals on original artwork. You can start your collection today.
Yeah, so when we have sales, like sometimes we'll we've done one, was it 20%, 30%? Sometimes we have some major percents off.
Oh, yeah.
And so before all the good stuff is picked over, we announce it to the newsletter first.
Yes, newsletter always they get first word about all of the sales and everything.
Yeah.
They also get first word on when portfolio reviews are starting.
Portfolio reviews and when the commissions list opens up.
Yes, that's the first place that we announce that stuff, and con appearances. It's a great website. Check it out and join that newsletter.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Art, and thank you, Spider-Man.
And thank you, Peter Parker. Peter Parker.
Let's see. He was sworn in Ebony Maw's ship right before they killed him, like Putty from the Power Rangers. That's right.
I love this geek market. Like, I just love just stuff like that still cracks me up. Oh, just like this guy in this comic book.
Let me see. Let's see. They seem to have forgot the plot. That's why the Jedi are the bad guys. What are you talking about? Don't forget, Luke killed a lot of contractors when he destroyed the Death Star, says Thibert.
And somehow they rebuilt it.
Twice.
And maybe a third time for the new one.
That's going to be the plot of every Star Wars. There's always a Death Star being built.
It's the only way that they can think of to up the scale of the story.
They're gonna. This Death Star is the size of the universe. Let's see.
That's no moon.
Rhaegar says, we clearly need Gilbert Gottfried in the next Star Wars to make it better. Make the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
I would die on the spot, he says. James says, you could make an argument that Star Wars is about proving that moons are bad.
I feel as though, all right, what is it? A billion screams or something like that.
It was like 1,000 voices all cried out at once.
Only 1,000?
And we're suddenly silent.
They only killed 1,000 people.
I don't remember the amount.
It would have to be like 1 billion or something, right?
I don't know. On one planet? How big is the planet?
200 people cried out.
The planet was only 5 feet long.
You find out that Alderaan is just an exclusive, like, you know, there's only like a few. It's like, what was that stupid...
Like Catalina.
What is that stupid movie where, like, Matt, what's that actor's name is in it? Where it's named after the location that they go. Oh, shit. It was that guy that did the robot movie and District 9.
Oh, Elysium.
Elysium, yeah.
How could I forget about that? It took me a minute.
Alderaan is like Elysium. There's only like 200 people that live there. They keep all the riffraff out.
Oh my gosh.
So it turns out that the Empire was actually doing the world a favor. Bunch of elitist a-holes.
Friggin' Elysium. How could I forget about that train wreck of a movie?
You talk about preachy and heavy-handed. Wow.
Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. We could go in a whole thing about that movie.
Yeah, let's not.
I was gonna say that could dominate the rest of this video. Let's see. That's no moon, says Rhaegar. TCR says, what does the room think about the Bloodshot movie coming out? Vin Diesel does not have a good track record with movies that are not Fast and Furious.
Yeah, you know, I have mixed feelings about Vin Diesel as just an actor. So I'm probably not the best person to ask. How do you feel?
I don't know. I'm not really a fan either. I've never thought that he was particularly good. I haven't seen anything about that movie yet, though, either, to be fair. So yeah. I have no idea, like, what to expect of that.
I think better than the Fast and Furious movies. What was that one where it was, like, XL or, like...
Oh, Triple X.
Triple X. Like, I like those movies better than I liked the Fast and Furious
It was
movies.
just him, right? And he's basically, like, a bad James Bond.
Yeah, he's, like, some kind of spy or something.
How old is Vin Diesel?
He's not young, that's for sure. He can't be.
I feel like he hasn't aged, like, at all. Like, he's just kind of stayed the same since his inception.
I don't think he was ever particularly attractive.
No.
So, I don't know. Those guys age pretty well.
He's actually a very strange-looking man. He kind of looks like Drax.
They could have gotten to play Drax.
But he was too busy playing Groot.
I am Groot.
Someone should do a parody where one of the contractors is like, hey guys, I got this idea. About this time we try to make it smaller so we can get the Death Star done before they find out about it. Rhaegar says it was actually the screams of billions of midi-chlorians.
Yikes.
Title says, in the Stargate series, it's another planet. Civilization's been there longer than man have been on Earth, but the entire planet has only maybe 2 villages.
Man, that Stargate, the first act of Stargate is brilliant.
I've never seen it.
That movie falls apart as soon as they get on the other side of the Stargate.
It's got a great name.
I thought what they should have done, I have thoughts about Stargate. The original movie is there was, and this is gonna sound weird. There was the older lady that she was kind of like Stargate is a lot like Atlantis, the Disney cartoon, and so she was like the older person that financed the expedition.
I feel like I've actually seen this.
She's like the daughter of an archaeologist or something, and they found the Stargate, like it was buried in these Egyptian ruins or something like that, and so she remembered it as a child, and so then when she got older, I forget what the details were, but she kind of hired some people, I think James Spader's character or whatever, to like, I don't know whether it was to find it again or to just use it. And so they bring in like Atlantis, where they have these like military guys go in with them and stuff like that, because they don't know what they're going to find and all this stuff. And so I just remember all the setup was really strong. I thought the world was not so much the art direction, but it was just a little weak. And that lady, the older lady, was the best. Like, she was able to like root it and make it feel like authentic and real. And
that's key in those kind of movies.
Yeah, and then when they didn't go over like through the Stargate with her, so it just kind of felt like it fell apart after that to me.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, like that they wouldn't follow that part through.
Because James Spader was definitely not as charismatic as even Michael J. Fox's voice in Atlantis.
Oh, he was so good in that.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He's got a lot of excitement and energy to his voice.
He has like a good boyish voice that they could actually utilize. I've been wanting to rewatch that movie for a while. Durakan says she hired James Spader to crack the code of how to use it.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I loved the premise. I thought it was great. The promise was really strong. I just didn't think it paid it off very well.
What actually is the Stargate in the course of the story? Is it like a gateway to parallel dimensions, or?
Yeah, and I guess they're kind of saying the reason the Egyptians were so advanced is that they're kind of from this other dimension or planet. I don't really remember what it was, but it was definitely like advanced. And so they had set up. I didn't think the Kurt Russell character was set up very well. Like, he was kind of had a death wish. He just lost his son or something like that. So he was kind of on this weird death wish. So I think he just kind of wanted to get into some kind of like just go out with a blaze of glory kind of thing. So he was doing a bunch of like jerky things to try to escalate, I guess, failure or some, I don't remember what it was, but I didn't like that plot line. And James Spader, it just didn't seem like it paid off very well. And I just thought, like, the movie with that older lady felt like it had some kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. You know how, like, in one of the Indiana Jones where they bring, well, even with the dad, you know how they bring, like, in 3, they bring, what is his name? Sean Connery's character along?
Yes.
And he's just kind of like a fish out of water. I thought like it could have been like that, where she knew all this stuff and could help out, but she just wasn't like a physical character.
Yeah.
And she could kind of help out and bring that kind of levity to it, because it could also be funny. Because there was what is the one character in Indiana Jones, the guy that works at the school with Indy, the British guy. What is his name?
Oh God, I forget his name.
I think he passed away recently. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. But you know that one episode? I think it was the one with the dad where he goes with them.
That's the
James Brody.
That's the Lost. Brody? That's the Raiders one, right?
That's 3. It's the one with Sean Connery.
The Holy Grail and all that.
Yeah, Holy Grail. I think that's what it's called, actually.
I thought it was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's the first one.
Oh, what the heck is it? Is it the Holy? You guys, let me know. Which
I think
one
it is called The Holy Grail.
That was like that's one of the best ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, you know how like James Bond James Bond is always James Bond. Like you never really find out too much more about him or anything like that. And this was like Indiana Jones could have been that, but they chose to show, like they actually did do what you were railing against, Taylor, where they showed Indiana Jones how he got his scar and all that other stuff. You know, when they did the River Phoenix stuff. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
They show a younger Indiana Jones. And the reason they did that, though, and the reason it worked is because they were kind of setting up the dad beat. You know, because he has that adventure, and then he comes home from, like, that adventure, and he's trying to, like, connect with the dad, and the dad's like, Did you wipe your feet? Did you do whatever? Did you whatever, boy? Did you do your homework? You know what I mean? Like, he's just, like, he doesn't even care about this crazy adventure his son just went on.
Draken says they have a terrible web series talking about Stargate. They made recently called Stargate Origins, where Nazis killed her father and activated the Stargate, and she goes through and returns but doesn't know how to get back.
That's the older lady?
I guess
or
so.
The new character?
I think it's the old woman's origin story, apparently. Oh, Last Crusade is what it was called.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, Last Crusade is the particular
Yeah, I
Indiana
guess
Jones
Holy Grail
film.
would have been 2 on the mark. Oh, wait a minute.
But,
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, and Temple of Doom.
That literally was a Temple of Doom.
There's
That wasn't even hyperbole.
There's a place over in Walnut that's called Kalima Burger, and we used to always call it Kalima Burger because of that movie. Havon Shavai.
That movie got weirdly dark.
It did. You get some Havoncha fries there. Draken says, talking about Stargate, like her fiance figured out how to activate it, went through and powered down while he was on the other side, and he would never be able to come back. She thought he just left her because of the military. Okay.
Oh, is that why she wanted to get? Yeah, she had some. Is that the original movie? Because the older lady had some kind of personal stake in it.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'm kind of intrigued now.
I want to watch it again and see if I'm just making stuff up or if she was actually kind of cool. Because it seems like one of those characters, like, who cares, right? Like, oh, it's this older lady. But I do remember, like, that it seemed like she was sorely missed when they went into the...
Like, now what? Lovegate. It's a great series.
Lovegate. It's a Lovegate. Lovegate. That's where it's at.
In the movie, they never answer where the Stargate comes from, but it transports them to the other side of the known universe. In the show, they also go to other planets and stuff. In the movie, the movies are semi-retcon, but they do delve more into the story of the Stargate on Earth and the old woman's story.
Oh, okay.
There is an episode where they find her fiance. Okay, the fiance thing's the first episode of the show, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I always forget that show was like long running, wasn't it?
Well, it's amazing how much impact that idea had, because even what was it, Big Hero or whatever, delves into like a Stargate idea, because there's that big circular gate actually.
That's right.
And they go into another dimension or something. So it is Stargate.
And the villain has like the worst motivation of all time.
Yeah, there's a lot of weak stuff in that movie, but overall, I liked it.
It was okay.
But then again, I'm easily entertained.
According to whom?
I don't know. I was just trying to... According to myself.
The fiance was from the 5th episode. Well, now I feel like I've heard the whole conflict. 10 years more. Wow, it was on for 10 years. Most seasons are 20 to 22 episodes.
It did have a series, right?
Yeah, so I guess there's several seasons of it.
I hate it. I think I tried to watch it. There's this guy with his freaking eye on his forehead.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
I remember that.
Weird stuff. Like I think at that point I had just went, you know what, WB, whatever, if we can't spend money on these ideas, then I don't really want to watch them. Because there's such a disappointment, right? Because you're like, oh, this is bad design, this is whatever, oh, this is the limitation of this.
Yeah, because they can't do everything. Like, that idea is a very big budget kind of idea.
Yeah.
It's hard to do on a low budget.
Yeah, and a TV budget, and also just the amount of time that they don't have. Like, they got to come up with an episode every week. So how do you come up with an episode every week?
I just remember the visual, like somebody was talking about it, how like one day they tuned in and there was just like pyramids flying into the air with like jets on the bottom of them that were hidden. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me or not.
It becomes very Mobius.
It was pretty funny. Let's see. The Stargate universe was cool, so of course they canceled it. Aww.
You know what? I did watch a little bit back on Guardian, or what was it called?
Real quick, Rhaegar says, every time I think of Stargate, I remember that exact same guy art with the forehead eye.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, it wasn't even good design. You know, like sometimes good design will stick with you, but like bad design can define you too, and that guy definitely defines that show for me.
I always picture him. You're talking about Tealik. The eye on his forehead is a slave brand, which is cut into his forehead and formed from gold.
Oh, he's a slave, but he's got a.
But he's got like a gold.
He's got a forehead tattoo of gold. Okay, that makes sense.
And isn't it like raised? Isn't it like a?
Yeah. How bad can your society be when you're like your slaves are tattooed with gold? Sounds like a pretty good place to me.
This is pretty bizarre. What were you saying? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Like Battlestar Galactica did. What was it? It wasn't Netflix. Who did that? They did that series.
Oh gosh.
It was actually not bad.
I don't remember.
I wanted to watch more, but I forget if I was borrowing somebody's Blu-rays or what it was. But yeah, I didn't get through the season or the series because I guess there was more than one year, and I remember it was actually not bad.
I remember the Sci-Fi Channel used to always have those weird series on like all the time. They used to have Roswell and stuff on, which was the weirdest like kind of a teen drama show, but also about aliens.
It was just called Roswell?
Yeah, Roswell. It was about, like, aliens from Area 51, or I guess in Roswell.
Was that on the CW?
I don't remember.
What was that? I do remember that now.
It might have aired first on the CW, and then I remember it was airing all the time on the Sci-Fi Channel, like, when I was a kid. Sci-Fi did it, says Comic Book Bob.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah, it was really strange. It was, like, they were aliens, but they were shapeshifted, I guess, into humans because they didn't have a budget to make them look like aliens or something, and they were living their life and having romance and stuff. It was really strange.
Wasn't that like that show V or whatever?
I don't know. I never watched
aliens
V.
kind of living amongst us and kind of living with us and in relationships with us, and
I think so. They were like reptilian or something, right?
Yeah, in V.
Rhaegar says, did you ever watch that weird show Farscape?
I think that show had good design. I never saw it though, but I remember seeing like print ads at different. You know how like you go to cons and see different things. I do remember seeing that. Was that had like Henson, like Jim Henson was like the designer on the show or something, right? I
think so. Yeah.
Actually, that sounds like something I would probably want to go back and watch.
Yeah, I remember. I used to always, truth be told, I used to always mix that up with Stargate because like they seemed like kind of a similar theme. I don't know. I remember that used to also be on Sci-Fi Channel. Farscape was great, says Comic Book Bob.
Yeah, actually, since I'm so desperate to watch something, I might see if I can dig up some of that.
It looked interesting. Let's see. Snake alien dudes from V. Yeah, I remember them. The original creator was Roland Emmerich.
Oh yeah, those guys had a great track record all the way up to Godzilla.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that they were involved in that.
Those guys were, like, I liked everything they did, and they were the Hollywood darlings as far as, like, sci-fi and those kind of, like, big special effects movies. ID4 is still, I think, just, it's one of the better movies that came out around that time. And what is that smell?
I don't know. That might be something to revisit. Half the cast from Farscape ended up on Stargate, apparently. Maybe that's why I was mixing them up, because they had the same people in it too.
That's funny. You called it.
We're getting typecast as random sci-fi characters.
Because that Farscape had, like, really over-the-top, like, aliens and stuff, right? Like, puppet-type aliens and stuff, like Jim Henson thing.
I think so. Gosh, that was a weird time on television. Well, we just hit the 2-hour mark from when we started the stream.
You want to try to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see. Trying to see if you guys have any last minute questions and stuff.
Yeah, get them in. We're not sure when we're coming back. We got lots to do.
Well,
go ahead.
Friday for Kiss Corner.
Lots to do, people. Lots to do.
And you guys tune into Kiss Corner, even if you're not into Kiss. I think we're hilarious and entertaining.
I agree.
You will be intrigued. Kiss has very deep lore, even if you're not into their music, and you should definitely do a deep dive if you're into weird tales. It's perfect.
And Taylor always shines because she's kind of like a fish out of water, but her enthusiasm and her, what would you call it? You're like, just, you learn kind of as you go along, like the Kiss lore and stuff, and you're like, oh wow. That's entertaining. I think I'll read Paul Stanley's autobiography.
Oh my gosh, his autobiography is amazing.
And then you're like, oh, I guess I'll read Peter Criss's autobiography. Oh, I guess I'll read Ace Frehley's. Oh, I guess I'll read Gene Simmons.
Ace is the only one I've been fully read. I gotta get, I've read, excerpts of it. But thank you. Yeah, it's a good time. You guys should definitely join us.
Well, let's face it, Ace is barely literate.
Yeah, I know. That's why it seems like the best.
That'd be awesome if he actually wrote it and didn't have a ghostwriter with him.
Oh gosh. That would be highly improbable. But...
If it's anything like the subject matter in his songs, which is always the same subject matter.
Which I believe it is.
It's either he's a spaceman from another planet, or he's trying to get away from some abusive woman.
Or both.
Or both.
One last question. Title says, what is the answer to life and everything?
What is it? Grab a towel? What is the Hitchhiker's Guide?
I thought it was a number.
Oh, it was a number. It's like 47 or something.
Yes. Yeah. Do you have a life philosophy to answer that? What is life's purpose?
I always say our life's purpose is just to help each other along.
Aww.
I used to tell Amanda, I was like, you know why there's so many different types of people? Because what one person possesses, the other does not. And so collectively, we can all help each other with our shared gifts or whatever. I used to say it when she was really small. I don't say it to her anymore.
I don't know. I think that's pretty good advice, though, actually.
So instead of how we are always oh, that guy's a dick, or because they're so different than you are.
Yeah.
Just go, well, that guy might know how to repair an automobile, and you don't.
That's kind of profound.
Because I always think, I used to tell her, there's so much in this world that we rely on other people. Like, just think about, like, this camera. I didn't build the camera that we're using. I don't even know how it works. But somebody does, and they built it, and I can use it, you know, but I can draw a comic book. They can't draw a comic. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I, you know, and so each one has their little things that they bring into the collective, and then we're like ants or bees.
We are. I think that's a good parting word. Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, we're not doing anything. We have nothing to plug. Oh, we have nothing going on right now. Oh, yes, we do.
We got a few things.
We have this.
Wow, that's Oodles of Doodles.
Look at this artwork. Who drew this?
That's Art Thibert's first art book.
That is.
Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. The Art of Art Thibert, a hardcover deluxe style art book.
How many pages is it?
I believe there are 52 pages in it.
Yes, there are. Who designed it?
Why, I did.
Ooh.
It was a collaboration, just like you said. It's filled with 52 pages of beautiful comic book artwork. Don't show everything.
I am going to show everything.
No.
You know what? Like, oh, excuse me. Oh, what is, Edwin, like, oh, shoot, I just put a little mark right there.
Now it's worth even more.
That's worth more. It's got my fingerprint on it.
Ooh.
He was like flipping through the whole book.
Edwin.
Oh, this is a new page.
Ooh.
Oh, this is a new page.
No.
Oh, look at that page.
Hey, that's the Spider-Man
this
print.
This is a new page. This is a new page. How many more of these do we have? This is a new page.
I mean, quite a few.
I'm giving it, right now Taylor's giving me a look.
You're almost halfway through. Stop it.
A dirty look. Oh,
hey, Captain Action.
He's a man of action. Oh,
He is.
Look at that. It's a love affair born in hell.
That's the next
oh,
art book.
The Flash series of covers I did for DC Comics. They're
Look
all
at that.
Justice League. Ah, Bishop. First appearance of Bishop. Oh, Sheena.
Is that Sheena?
Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Yes. Look
Pretty
at this,
sweet.
man. You know what?
Tell the tale.
All right. Also, you guys, see this? This is a tiger, and I guess she has a stupid Black Panther, right? So, like, I guess the licensing, they go, well, she has a panther. And I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. I just drew a parrot, I drew a monkey, and I drew a tiger. You guys didn't tell me to draw a panther. I brought this on my own. And they're going...
And it's beautiful.
And then, yeah, and look at the drawing. And then she's like, oh, not she, but my editor's like, yeah, but the licensing, what they really need is they need a panther. So I had to redraw this and then make it into a panther.
It was so depressing covering all... You had to cover that thing with black.
It saddened me. I don't think... Because look at all this... Like, I think I did all this with a brush, all this this fur and stuff. I was really proud of it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Look at those eyes. Here we go. Look at those eyes.
Oh, look at
those
You know what's even better? Holding it in your hand and being able to see it. If you're lucky enough to buy one of the 200 copies, which there are about... Gosh, 50 left of?
Maybe. Oh, look at this. I've just turned... Oh, there's Ray.
This will never be printed up again, and you could
look
own
at that.
some of the only copies.
Let's just flip through the whole book, shall we? No, that's all you get. That's all you get. No more. So, yeah, so we have Oodles still up in the shop, right? It's a shop.
Yes, it is in the in-demand shop.
On
And
Indiegogo.
Yeah, some people were confused. They clicked the link and they're like, oh, it leads to black and white. And yes, it does, because Oodles and Doodles is a tier available in the in-demand shop on Indiegogo, on the black and white in-demand shop. And if you haven't got black and white yet, you can buy them in a bundle and get both of them at the same time. Or you can get Oodles on its own and it is ready to ship.
Yes, here's the first cover.
And of course, here's black and white. Page 1!
I'm going to flip through all of these 50 pages here.
Why, there's more than 50 pages. There's 54 pages.
I don't know if there's 54 in this book, though, because there's some...
I mean, there's probably more.
There's some in this book.
You have 2 books full.
There's some in this book with the Grey Capullo cover.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you can own that Grey Capullo cover. You can get Art Thibert's cover. This is actually an Art Thibert Grey Capullo collaboration here.
It's a combo.
And you can buy both of those. And they're both available. I'm trying to think of, like, the best bang for your buck right now, because they are selling pretty quickly. Like I said, you can get Oodles, and we're not going to have this in-demand store open forever. So get on it while you can. And don't forget about the sale on artbytbear.com. Every $100 or more purchase, you can get this Spider-Man print for absolutely free. And 3 lucky one of you will get the Spider-Man print with the remark that you're seeing right here.
Yes.
Till the end of the month.
Only till the end of the month. We should write that down.
Only till the end of the month, so don't wait.
All right, you guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in and hanging out with us for the last 2 hours, helping the time pass. It's a lot of fun. And like Taylor said, Kiss Corner this Friday. And thanks again. Enjoy your Wednesday. And please check out our Indiegogo, Black and White. Thank you.